Today's engines in F1 are some of the most powerful ever seen, producing over 1,000 horsepower, despite using an engine that you could fit in an everyday road car. But how is this possible? The secret is much more simple than you might expect, but also it's so clever. So, let me explain. Formula One teams are constantly trying to find grey areas in the rules to give themselves a competitive advantage, and this genius innovation gave quite the advantage. The Formula One regulations changed massively in 2014 when they introduced the turbo hybrid era. Before this, F1 cars were powered by normally aspirated 2.4 litre V8 internal combustion engines. These engines were limited to 19,000 RPM and produced about 750 horsepower. Then the 2014 rules shrunk the engines to 1.6 litre V6s and limited them to 15,000 RPM. They also introduced turbos back into the sport for the first time since 1988 to help compensate for the loss in power output from the smaller engine. But the biggest change was using electrical energy to partially power the new power unit. This came in the form of the MGU-H and the MGU-K, with MGU standing for Motor Generator Unit. It was expected that these power units would maintain the power output of F1 cars at about 750 horsepower. The rules also restricted how much fuel could be used in a race, 110 kilograms, and how quickly that fuel can be fed into the engine, or fuel flow rate. This was capped at 100 kilograms per hour and strictly monitored by the FAA, not so much with Ferrari. However, what rule makers left out was anything restricting the ways in which the teams could manipulate this 110 kilograms of fuel to get more power from it, and Mercedes found a way to do exactly that. Mercedes first implemented this innovation in 2014, and of course it helped them to 8 Constructors' Championships in a row. This discovery gave them a head start over the rest of the field as they were able to produce more power for their car while simultaneously needing less fuel. It really was an amazing win-win. This ultimately meant that the car would be lighter and faster, increasing performance in multiple ways. And while it took the other teams at least a year to catch up, they now all use this innovation to create the monstrous engines we see in F1 today. As I've mentioned, F1 cars use 1.6 litre V6 turbo hybrid power units, but the electrical parts of the power unit are tightly regulated, so it's hard to find horsepower gains from these parts. The part that we'll focus on today is the reliable old internal combustion engine, which has powered Formula One cars from the start. What the engineers at Mercedes found was a new way to manipulate the fuel being fed into the engine, which created more fuel efficient combustion, resulting in basically more grunt. But efficiency is particularly important in these engines, as F1 teams need to extract the absolute maximum from the fuel they inject into the engine. Of course, it's no good creating extra power if you run out of fuel before the end of a race distance. And 110 kilograms of fuel is not that much to power an F1 car for 305 kilometers. But how exactly did they manipulate it? Well, that is a very good question, but first you need to understand the way fuel is used in an F1 engine. Much like a road car, an F1 engine has multiple chambers used specifically for converting fuel into energy. Once the fuel is fed into the chamber where a spark plug is located, this creates a spark and ignites the fuel. This reaction then produces the energy that moves the car, of course, all in a very basic form. However, unlike a normal road car, the fuel that's being used in a Formula One engine has a much higher octane rating, meaning you can extract more power from it. And actually, F1 teams fuel that is harder to combust, which seems backwards, but it actually works better with the boost that the new turbos produce. Speaking of power, today's sponsor, CyberGhost, can help power your internet habits to the next level. CyberGhost is a world leader in the security and privacy industry and has the most recommended VPN on Trustpilot with over 38 million users. This VPN hides your IP address, encrypts your data, and redirects all of your internet traffic through a secure VPN tunnel, so you can surf the web securely with freedom. The software also unblocks over 35 major streaming platforms, including Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, and BBC iPlayer, so you can enjoy your favourite shows wherever you are on Earth. And one subscription can be used on up to 7 devices at one time, so it can be shared with your family and friends. If you want to enjoy all the benefits of CyberGhost VPN, now is the perfect time. By using the link in the description, you can get an 84% discount. That's just $2.03 a month, and you also get 4 months for free. And since they have a 45-day money-back guarantee guarantee and access to 24/7 customer support in 4 languages, everything is risk-free for you. So use the link in the description and sign up to CyberGhost VPN today. And with that, back to the video. Now, you may have heard of the engine mix. You definitely will have if you play the F1 game. It's a scale of how much fuel you have compared to air. More fuel and less air means you're running rich. Less fuel and more air means you're running lean. So to get more power from less fuel, the teams want to run their cars as lean as they can. However, having leaner mixtures can sometimes be harder to ignite consistently, and having incomplete combustion can cause a whole load of issues. This incomplete combustion can leave some fuel particles unburned, which results in a loss of power. But if gone too far, it can result in a sludge buildup and extra friction, which can damage the engine and even make it seize completely. So you want a richer mixture to allow the spark to ignite the fuel properly, but you want a leaner mixture for better fuel mileage. As always in F1, these engineers just want both. And actually, they figured out a way to do it. What the clever engine manufacturers discovered was that if you create a smaller chamber near the spark plug and also put the injectors in there, you can create a local area that is essentially a richer mixture. When ignited, this creates flame jets that fire out the cylinder through small holes. So now you have a combustion chamber that is very lean and can be ignited by these jets. You get great ignition, but great fuel efficiency. Again, absolute genius. As the holes are spread out on the chamber's wall, the engine builders found that they could also spread the reaction over a larger area of the outer chamber, rather than it starting in one spot and then spreading out. This is just like old engine designs. This created a lot more power, as more reactions were happening simultaneously. This whole process is called turbulent jet injection, or TJI for short. And it may sound complicated, but it's actually based on a very simple idea. If you do this right and you send the jets to the right spots in the combustion chamber, you can run the mixture very lean whilst also having consistent combustion and great horsepower. The engine builders will be tweaking this a lot to produce as much power from the engines as possible, of course. So, let's go back to 2014 when this was brand new. It allowed Mercedes to push for longer without using nearly as much fuel. This just made their performance gain even larger, as they were able to use less fuel, saving weight, and they had more power. As a result, they were getting over 1,000 horsepower from an engine that needed a third less fuel. You might not know this, but Drive61 also has a newsletter. This is where we give our opinions on current topics in F1 that don't make it into these videos, and we share fun pieces of work that we find from the F1 world. So if you're interested in finding out more, please sign up by following the link in the description. If you want to find out how many miles per gallon a Formula 1 car actually gets, be sure to check out this video just here. Cheers, and I'll see you next time.